I wish I had more faith. Isn't that something we've all said at one point or another? A little more faith that God is really in control. A little more trust that everything is going to be okay, that it'll work out. Well, we're not alone. Today, the apostles asked Jesus for more faith. The apostles who lived with Jesus every day still thought they needed more faith. Even they struggled with believing and trusting in God, the same God who literally walked among them each day. Now, to their defense, they have been listening to his teachings, and the verses preceding this gospel passage are pretty challenging. Jesus was saying things like, "It would be better for a person if a millstone were put around his neck and he were thrown into the sea than to cause someone else to sin. And if someone wrongs you 7 times in one day and returns to you 7 times saying, 'Hey, sorry about that,' again, you should forgive him every time." Those are hard teachings, so it's no wonder that the apostles were a little desperate. Increase our faith, Lord. How are we supposed to do this? How can we live like this? That should bring us comfort when we ask the same question. When we think we need just a little more faith, just a little more trust, and maybe I can do this. Maybe it's all going to be okay. God is in control. Maybe he is listening. But Jesus answers a bigger question. How much faith is enough? As it turns out, we don't need very much to do amazing things. Faith isn't measured out according to how difficult the task is before us. Faith isn't a thing that we get. Faith is a relationship. It's based on trust and love and opening ourselves up to receive another's life and to give our life to that other person. And the other person is Jesus Christ. It's that relationship who determines who we are and how we live. And here Jesus offers his famous response that if they had faith the size of a mustard seed, they have more than enough faith. The mustard seed is the smallest seed that the disciples knew about at that time, and it's tiny. Jesus is telling them and us that if we have any faith, even the smallest amount, we already have enough. The apostles didn't need more faith. We don't need more faith. It doesn't take much faith to do great things. God has given us all the faith that we need, and he will do mighty things through the person who trusts in him, even if their faith is seemingly weak and small, because the glory is and always was his, not ours. Because it's not a question of how much faith we have, it's a question of who we put that faith in. And it isn't about never having doubts. Having doubts is actually an element of faith, that urges us to search deeper and grow in our journey. It's more likely that certainty would be the opposite of faith, because certainty can miss the point entirely if we're not careful, because we close ourselves off. We think we know it all already, and we're not open to learning and to growing. And it also isn't about how much knowledge we have, or about how much we actually believe in something. I mean, think about it. There are some mysteries of our faith that are just plain hard to understand and hard to believe, and that's okay. When we speak of a married couple's faithfulness, we definitely don't mean how much they agree with each other. They are faithful because they have committed themselves to each other in love and in trust, in relationship with one another. They are faithful because they hold that relationship, that one relationship, above all other relationships, and they take it with them wherever they go, in all that they do, and all that they are. And it's the same with our relationship with Jesus, even when we don't completely understand it. That trust still exists, even when we are completely aware of the messiness of our lives. And we hold on as long as we can, waiting for that relief to come, knowing that God will shed his light into the dark corners of our messy lives. And there we are, waiting for him. That is what faith is. It doesn't remove the circumstances of our lives. Instead, it changes us to live within those situations. It won't shield us. It doesn't undo the past. It's not a guarantee of the future, but it's the way in which we deal with the circumstances, the good and the bad. It's simply the way in which we live our lives. And that's what Jesus asks us to do, to notice the mess of our lives, to not ignore it, to don't pretend it doesn't exist, but to trust him and know that he is enough and that all things will work for our good. Not because of the amount of faith that we have, but because of who we are placing it in. In the gospel, he follows that statement about the mustard seed with a strange example involving a slave doing what he is commanded. And what is that all about? Well, I think he's reminding us that he's in charge, not us. That we don't have to have it all figured out. We don't need that certainty. We don't need more faith. We don't need to see the whole picture. All we need is a little trust in God. He is in charge. We just have to do our part and trust that the Lord will take care of everything else. St. Augustine said, "Understanding is the reward of faith. Therefore, don't seek to understand so that you may believe, but believe so that you may understand." If we already have enough faith to be able to ask for more, then we already have enough. And all we need to do is trust in God and follow him. We do our part. We do what he's calling us to do in this world, and we trust the rest to him. The last line of the gospel, when it reads that, "When you have done all that you have been commanded to do," we are to say that we are unprofitable servants. We have done what we are obliged to do. As faithful servants, we strive to say, we have done what we are called to do. We fulfilled the task that was given to us by Jesus. We ran a good race. But in the end, it was all God. It was all him the entire time. He's in control. Being faithful and obedient doesn't make our life easy. It doesn't mean that God owes us something. It's what we're supposed to do. We obey and we serve because Christ calls us to follow him in obedient service. And he gives us what we need to do it. He gives us the faith we need, but it's up to us to be his faithful servants, his faithful followers. So that means we need to strive to grow in faith. We don't need to increase the amount of faith we have. We need to take the faith we already have and grow. And that means building our relationship with Jesus, with God, to know him, to love him, and to serve him more and more each day, every day, in those regular circumstances of our lives. And that's where it happens, the ordinary relationship with Jesus. Each day we get up and we face the reality of our life. We are present to those circumstances. We feel the pain of the world and we respond with compassion. We experience broken relationships. We offer forgiveness and mercy. We recognize the suffering and we offer our presence and our prayers. And when we feel powerless and don't know the way forward, by faith, we sit in silence and wait. And so, instead of asking for more faith, the better question is, how are we living the faith that we already have? Your faith, however small it may seem, is plenty big enough. Because it isn't about how big your faith is. It never was. It's always been about who you put your faith in and what you're doing with it. That mustard seed of faith has already been planted in all of us. It's Christ himself. We already have enough. We already are enough. We just need to respond to what Christ has already given us and what he continues to give us in the sacraments, in the Eucharist, through those charitable acts of service that we do, and in prayer. So we don't need more faith. We just need to be more faithful. Because in the end, faith can't be measured. it can only be lived.